Set for Monday. Court TV cameras here for it all. The defendant, Commander Reeves, accused of murdering Chad Oulsen in 2014 during an argument over a cell phone in a movie theater. He faces second-degree murder and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae is in Florida covering the trial for us and has the latest on where we are.
Ted, the patience of Judge Susan Barthel has worn thin. She was frustrated, to say the least, inside of the courtroom on Thursday. She's been very calm and patient with these attorneys throughout the 4 days of jury selection, urging them pretty patiently to move along, saying that they needed the pace to pick up. But by the end of the day, she let them have it after they wanted to question more the 41 men and women who have come in multiple days to answer those questions that these attorneys wanted to continue to pepper them with.
Good Lord, you know, we've just got to finish today. We've just got to finish today. We've just got to finish today. We can't go another day. We cannot. I'm sure we've all done death penalty cases in less than this, or you know, somewhere along the way. We just can't. We can't go another day. All I'm saying is, no, I'm not looking at tomorrow again. I've been pretty, you know, easygoing as far as I would have thought Wednesday. I would have thought we'd have had a jury for sure Wednesday.
And you know what? It worked. A little nudge and a boom. That's what the gavel's for. A jury was picked a few hours later. Now, 10 people, 6 of them will serve on the jury. 4 alternates have been seated. Joining us now to talk about it, trial attorney and former prosecutor Imran Ansari is in New York, and criminal defense attorney April Preyar is in Chicago. Good morning to both of you. April, judges have their limits, and we watched that play out yesterday. But you know what? It was a little ridiculous. To her point, death cases can seat a jury quicker than this. Both attorneys, both sides were taking advantage of really honing down to get as much info from these jurors as they could. Your thoughts on the judge just losing it?
Yeah, I was chuckling as I was watching the clip, because we've all been in that position before as trial attorneys where the judge is just completely fed up, and we see how it played out. It worked in her advantage, and she got the jury seated, and now they'll be starting with opening statements today. Yeah,
actually, they're going to push them until Monday. Today is a big day,
okay.
Though. The rules of the road will be set in a motion hearing that's expected to start next hour. And Imran, overall, this, you know, jury selection is very important, obviously. Could be won or lost in jury selection, people say. But also these motions that are determined before the trial even starts, they can be pivotal as well. You can win or lose a case if you lose one of these, and there's a couple doozies here we'll go over, but just talk generically about how the importance of this, the next few hours will be for both sides as the rules of the road are dictated by the judge.
Yeah, Ted, you mentioned a great thing, that it was jury selection really is an important process. It is likely possibly one of the most important processes. And you saw Dino Michaels yesterday, the defense attorney, really making way with the jury. He was really connecting with them, but the judge moved it along, as he said, and now the motions in limine are before the court, and there's been a slew of them that have already been decided. And I believe there's one which is pending, and that's whether there's going to be evidence introduced by the state as to the movie theater's policy or signage that no firearms were allowed in the movie theater. That has to be decided. But these motions in limine are critical in terms of what evidence are going to be offered by either party during the trial. And if the jury hears or does not hear certain evidence, that is going to be critical to what they are going to be ultimately deciding when they're considering the charges against Reeves. So these motions before trial actually starts in earnest are very, very important.
The defense motion that is going to be discussed this morning has to do, or one of them has to do with this signage. And basically what it is, there's signs at the movie theater that you saw them there, no weapons or firearms. And in the motion from the defense, they said any evidence or testimony related to these signs will only inflame the jury or appeal improperly to the jury's emotions. Likewise, the introduction of these prohibiting signs will only confuse or mislead the jury, as Mr. Reeves was legally in possession of his firearm. And basically, the state, April, wants the jurors to know that there were signs at the theater saying no firearms, and lo and behold, Mr. Texting policeman is armed, and he doesn't, and he walked right through the signs, and the signage was there. The defense says, no, you're going to confuse the jury. What's your take? What should the judge do about this? Should the jury know about these signs?
My guess is a lot of the jurors already know about the signs. I think during the selection of the jury, a lot of them said they were familiar with that theater. So whether it comes in or not, my guess is they're aware of the signs. The issue is it's a other crimes matter. It's an other bad act. And the defense obviously doesn't want their client prejudiced simply because he possibly violated some other law that the jury is not deciding right now. And so my guess is the judge is not going to allow it in, that she's going to keep the issues very narrow as to what happened between Mr. Reeves and Mr. Oulsen in the actual theater, as opposed to whether Mr. Reeves had a right to have that weapon on his hip or not.
The other, one of the other issues that's going to be debated here is a defense motion to exclude Alan Hamilton. He's a corporal, basically a law enforcement officer who was in the movie at the time. He was there just to watch the movie, and he says that he heard Reeves' wife basically bawling him out for doing it, and then him saying, be quiet, do not say another word. The testimony that he could potentially provide could be pivotal for the state. The defense does not want him in. Imran, again, another one of these very important decisions that the judge is going to have to make, and we'll watch it play out here in the next hour.
No, absolutely. And, you know, that piece of evidence, that testimony that may be offered by the state, I think the judge may allow that in because it's going to the totality of the circumstances. It's showing his mens rea, if you will, his state of mind during or immediately after this incident. And I think the judge would be prudent in terms of letting the jury hear that, because it's allowing the jury to really appreciate the situation in the theater, and really consider what was going on with the defendant and also the decedent.
And the defense, part of the defense argument here is that he didn't articulate that in his initial debriefing with law enforcement and only brought it up later with the insinuation that, oh, now you're bringing it up later. But to your point, he was in there. He was there. He was in the theater. He's an eyewitness. Yes, he's law enforcement, but he's an eyewitness. We'll see what happens. Coming up, what the wife of the defendant, Vivian Reeves, told police just moments after her husband shot and killed Chad Oulsen in the movie theater. We know what Sergeant Hamilton says she said. Well, what did she say she said? We'll hear that next.
I used to think gift giving was stressful.